So it's barely 5 months since the IPL ended. In between, India won a T20 World Cup. We are in the midst of a Test series. But guess what we're going to talk about? The Indian Premier League. We're back on the Indian Premier League, the IPL hamster wheel. The hangover never seems to end. It's just been, again, as I said, 5 months barely since the IPL ended. All conversations regarding Indian cricket are surrounding the IPL. The IPL retention rules were announced yesterday. As you all know, there's going to be a mega auction ahead of the IPL 2025. It's set to be held this year. The dates are not yet out, nor are the venues, but the rules are out, and that's what has everybody talking. So Anish, a basic primer on what the rules really are. Six retentions are here.
There's a lot of conversation regarding this. We've been waiting for quite a while to see how they go. There were reports that many franchises wanted lot many more retentions. There were calls from fans on social media to reduce the number of retentions so that there's some jeopardy involved, auction dynamics and all that. But they've come somewhere in the middle of what all the conversations are about. They've zeroed it on six. It's a combination of RTMs and retentions. So that's something new in relation to the auction of the IPL. Generally, we've seen, I think, in the last mega auction in 2022, there was no RTMs at all.
Yeah.
And earlier, we had a maximum of two RTMs, I guess. So that's a different thing to look forward to.
Yeah. I was in fact initially confused about this myself. Six retentions,
Yeah.
which means you can retain six players. There is no such rule as you retain five and then you use one RTM. All six can be retained. It's just that you have different slabs this time around, which are pretty hefty, to be honest. So if you retain if you retain six players, you'll end up shelling out at least 79 crores. Your salary cap is 120 crores, which has been increased from I think 90 crores in the 2022 auction. And the retention slabs are as follows. Your player 1 has to be retained at 18 crores, player 2 at 14 crores, player 3 at 11 crores, and then here's the catch. The fourth player again has to be retained at 18 crores, fifth player at 14 crores.
This is also something different.
Yeah.
It generally just moves down progressively, and we see the lesser important players retained in spot number 4 and 5.
Right.
But this is clearly an indication from the IPL governing council that they're looking to bring more players into the auction. Kind of force teams to like release players and not retain their core group.
True. And yeah, and then if you retain a sixth player, which has to be an uncapped player, that's again 4 crores.
Yes.
Mind you, there are no limitations on overseas players' retentions. All your six retentions can be overseas players, except that only 5 capped players are allowed amongst your six retentions. Well, some scope for uncapped players to
Yep.
get a good deal, since franchisees won't have to shell out too much on them.
Yeah, but then there's another catch to that as well. If an uncapped player is retained in one of the top two slabs, then he automatically goes for that amount.
Right.
So if a player is retained as an uncapped player in the second slab, he will get 14 and he will
Right.
not be allowed to.
Yeah, I think a maximum
Yeah,
of two uncapped players are
Correct.
allowed in the six.
So looking at in that way, someone like, for example, a Mayank Yadav, who was a Tarawih quick that came up last year, and that commodity is something that's very rare in the market. So LSG can
Yeah.
opt to retain him for a much higher price, but again depends on the player. If he thinks he's worth more than the sum of 4 crore rupees that an uncapped Indian deserves, then he
Yeah.
can request a higher price, which seems like a fair deal for the player.
True. Interestingly, since we are talking about uncapped and capped players, we might see a certain MS Dhoni being listed as an uncapped player. Does that sit down well with you?
Should be. As a CSK fan, should. I mean, at this point, all CSK fans are like, how many more years? Okay, is this the last year? Is this the last year? So when there's one more year, we are happy with what is provided to us.
Right. Okay. But the rule says, the new rule says that any Indian cricketer, this rule only applies to Indian cricketers, any Indian cricketer who has not played international cricket in the last 5 calendar years ahead of the IPL 2025 is eligible to be listed as an uncapped player. So that ideally starts from 2020 to 2024. That's 5 years.
Yeah.
That is 5 years. So during that time, if the player hasn't been part of the playing 11, any of the three international formats, they can be listed as an uncapped player.
Other than MS Dhoni, it looks like this is a good. It's played well for Rajasthan Royals, who
Yeah.
can now retain Sandeep Sharma, who played his lone T20 in 2015.
15.
And he isn't as old as people presume him to be. He's only 31, so there are many years of cricket left in him.
Yeah.
He's delivered last year, bowled in all three phases of the game. So that's something that RR can retain him for just 4 crore rupees.
Yeah. In fact, it's funnily this whole capped uncapped rule has somehow taken us on down a memory lane. Everybody's trying to figure out
Who all has played.
Yeah, who played their last game when. So like we did some brainstorming. We came up with some names.
Yeah.
Karan Sharma.
Correct. So many leggies.
Mohit Sharma, Piyush Chawla, Amit
Amit
Mishra, Vijay Shankar.
Correct.
There was another one.
Mayank Markande.
Mayank Markande, yeah. There are quite a few players. Again, we're not sure to what extent this rule is going to be
Correct.
used. Something that's called the Dhoni rule now. But yeah, moving on, there's also been an increase in the player match fee that was announced ahead of the retentions. Each player, all 12 players, since including the impact player, will receive a 7.5 lakh match fee for every game. That's close to more than a crore if they play all 14 league matches. And that's again just over 12 crores will have to be allotted by each franchisee just for the player fees. So that's quite a hefty sum again. Players who go who get sold for their base price will also have an additional income. Pretty cool income.
Another thing that was brought out for the first time this time is that a foreign player will have to register for the mega auction and cannot come up on one of the mini auctions and earn 24 crores like what Mitchell Starc did last time.
So I guess players from a certain country will have to really commit themselves for the Indian Premier League. We had quite a few number of pullouts last year ahead of the 2024 season. You had Harry Brook, I think Jason Roy, and there was I think a couple of Australians. I think Adam Zampa was one of them.
So all these players that put their name out, get picked, and then pull out will be served with a 2-year ban according to the rules that released yesterday. So the IPL is kind of
it's really got a hold over the market. It's got a monopoly now. It's like you want to play, you better show interest. So it's no more like let's just everybody come and let's have fun.
If you have a good day at the auction, good for you. That's how it was before this.
Also, the uncapped, coming back to the uncapped and capped thing, the deadline for a player being considered uncapped is 31st October, which is also the deadline for teams to submit their list of retained players. So, three players could make their debuts before 31st. You have Nitish Kumar Reddy, Mayank Yadav, and there was a third one.
Mayank Yadav, Nitish Kumar Reddy, and another pacer.
Harshit Rana. The three of them could make their debuts before that date because they have all been selected in the squad for the Bangladesh T20s.
And this is applicable, I'm guessing, to the foreign nationals as well.
Yeah. So, we'll have to wait and watch.
So I think teams will have to wait for the series to get over to calculate when and where they can slot in.
They'll probably be hoping they don't make their debuts. So again, it's quite an interesting. The retention slabs again are quite interesting because it's a significant change from what happened in 2022. So in 2022, if you jog back your memory, you could only retain 4 players. And the slabs went 16 crores, 12 crores, 8 crores and 6 crores. But if you retained a smaller number of players, the slabs were reduced. So if you retained 3 players, it was 15, 11, 7 crores. If you retained 2, it was 14 and 10. And if you just retained 1, it would be 14. But this time around, that's not going to be the case. Even if you retain 1 player, the highest tax, highest retention slab will be applicable, which is 18 crores. Sorry, yeah, we all pay our taxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, do you think in this auction, I feel the pool is going to be much larger.
Yeah, I think
And
that doesn't make sense for the teams to invest 18, 14, and if investing 18 and 14 on their fourth and fifth retention pick, unless that commodity is a very very rare
Yeah.
commodity that is not available domestically or internationally, I just think it will be three retentions for most teams.
yeah, so probably teams would probably opt to have more
Correct.
a heftier purse in the
Right.
auction. So you might actually see records being broken again.
Yep.
Over
Punjab
20
Kings
crores.
must be licking their lips in the auction table again. We saw this. There was ahead of the 2022 auction. We spoke about how Delhi Capitals had created a really good team, but had to give away so many of their players because they could retain only 4 among
Yeah.
the core group of 7 or 8. But this rule will make sure that there's a wider pool and the teams are a little more balanced. Then again, it comes to auction dynamics. It depends on how you perform on the auction table
Yeah.
as well.
Also, the RTM rule that's been reintroduced is going to be interesting because according to what we are hearing, once a team uses their RTM card, the
Correct.
team bidding, the other team that has earlier placed the highest bid will be allowed to place a final bid, after which the current franchisee can again use the RTM
Correct.
card.
So, for example, if there's a player A who's I have submitted a bid for 8 crore rupees and Dhruva has an RTM option available, I get the chance for one last bid, and it need not necessarily be the next bid. I can go for any amount that I think that I feel the player rightly deserves. So, if I can go for 14 crores, and if you are not in a position to pay that money, I can take that
Right.
player away.
That might actually result in RTMs not being used
Yes.
as much, or
Correct.
you don't know, because
Again, it depends on what are the commodities available. If there's a dearth of all-rounders and suddenly there's an all-rounder available, then you will be willing to pay upwards of 10, 12 crores for the player. The team with the RTM might not be in a position to pay
Yeah.
that amount.
True.
So that's an interesting.
So that's pretty much it. I think quite again. I also feel that every year the rules are getting more complex because
Correct.
it's another way to keep people hooked to the IPL conversation. I mean, I'm sure till the 31st October when the retentions are announced, everybody's going to be talking. Like first, it'll probably take a week for people to really absorb what the rules are and
True.
process them, and then maybe they'll sit down and like make their wish lists for the players that they want their franchisees to retain. I'm sure he has already made his wish list, and there's one name that's definitely been put down.
Thank you, IPL Governing Council.
So well, yeah, hopefully you make your wish lists. Sportstar has put out its wish list on its website. You can go and check our possible retention copy. And well, you can follow Sportstar for all IPL related updates, especially around the retentions that have been talked about so much.
See you on October 31st when the
Yes, see you on
retentions come
October
out. We'll be here
31st
to
and,
discuss. We'll have a lot more knowledge then.
and a lot more clarity.
Yeah.